So welcome everyone who is here virtually, synchronously with us, and those of you that are going to be watching the recording. We're super excited to have Cal State LA's College of Education join us for what is now, I think, our annual, maybe twice a year informational session. We're always super excited to hear about what they're doing, the different requirements for the program, the changes that happen, of course, every year, and always super excited to have Ana Zambrano, who represents the College of Education, go through some important information with folks. So today, hopefully, is very hands-on, very interactive. Please type in your questions into the chat throughout. Use your mics when possible, and then we're definitely going to have some time to answer questions throughout and after. And then I'll just take maybe a couple minutes towards the end to talk about a couple other Hixon events that are coming up, other info sessions, but a couple of our internships that are still open and we're still actively recruiting for. But with that, I'll make sure to stop sharing my screen. And again, you have Ana Zambrano from Cal State LA's School of Education.
Hi, everybody. Nice to meet you all virtually. Hopefully we got to meet very soon in person. My name is Ana Zambrano. Thank you, Leti, for having me here today. We're going to go over a little bit about the admission requirements for Cal State LA, talk a little bit about the College of Education, and briefly about Cal State LA as a whole. So I did see a few of you stating like the credential that you're interested in. That would be very helpful, of course, to have some of that information. So if you can, go ahead and add that information there. And then, and if you see any information that you don't understand, please let me know. I am happy to clarify any information that you might need in addition to what we're talking about today. So just a little bit about myself, which I never really do this, but I want to share a little bit about myself. I do work in the College of Education. Like I said, I've been here for quite a while now. This is my I've been working in this specific role as a recruitment advisor for about 3.5 years. So this entire time I've been working with Leti. We've been working very closely for this entire time. So I'm really grateful to have this opportunity to collaborate. Over the last 3.5 years that I've been the recruitment advisor, I've had a chance to talk to a lot of students like yourself coming into the College of Education, and now they're already graduating. Some of them are starting their master's degree, so it's very exciting to see everyone coming from the first day that they transfer to the end of the program. I really hope to see you all here very soon to get to experience that with you all. Without further ado, I'll go ahead and share my screen. So again, we are in the College of Education. Cal State LA, just for reference, there are several colleges, which I will touch on in a few minutes. But the College of Education is where you want to be if you want to become a teacher. As at the College of Education, we have over 57 different academic programs, including a joint PhD program for special education with UCLA. We also have an EDD program and a large array of graduate programs. So for anyone that's looking to get a master's degree in the future, that is also available to you. Now, as far as degree options, many of you are probably wondering what degree you should be selecting. Honestly, any degree can get you into teaching. Most of the skills that you'll get in a degree in sociology, for instance, can be transferred over to a teaching credential. However, there are some teacher preparation programs that are specifically designated to support your academic needs and to support your, to hone in on your teaching skills. I did mention we're going to touch on this a little bit. The College of Education has these different colleges. There are specific colleges that have teacher preparation programs, but if you are, for instance, in the College of Engineering, there are specific disciplines that you're going to focus on. So that's important to know. When you transfer, depending on the major that you're in, you're going to be designated into a college, and that will be your advising center. If you select a program that has a teacher preparation path, you would be very likely be in one of these 6 colleges. Obviously, we want you to come to the College of Education if you're looking to become an elementary school teacher for multiple subjects or in special education. But we also have arts and letters that has a lot of the single subject programs like art, English, music, theater arts, etc. We also have the child and family studies. And we have in the College of Health and Human Services, child and family studies, kinesiology, if you wanted to be a PE teacher, for instance. Natural and social sciences, for those of you that want to become science teachers, history, math. So there are a lot of different programs that can help you, or bachelor's degrees that can help you to become a teacher. We do also have a program in ethnic studies, Chicana studies, Chicana studies that has a teacher preparation path as well for elementary education. Today we're going to focus on elementary education, but if anyone here is looking to go into single subject or special ed, we can also discuss that. Now, to go into a multiple subject or to be an elementary school teacher, you can go with any of these majors, and that would be child development, liberal studies, which is the more commonly known program for multiple subjects. Urban learning, which is housed in the College of Education. And then again, Chicana studies is also another major that focuses on elementary or special education. The BA in child development has 2 different options. One is a general option, which typically is what transfer students fall into because child development has a lot of units, so it's really hard for you to go into the teacher preparation path because of the courses that you would have had to take as at like first or second year, basically the time that you're at PCC. It is child-centered, so they focus a lot on child development, obviously growth and development, and the environment that children grow in. The BA in Liberal Studies is an interdisciplinary major that focuses or takes from different disciplines to support your academic needs. There are 3 options for this as well. There is a general option, there is a teacher preparation in elementary education, and there is a teacher preparation in special education. So these different paths can help you get into teaching a little bit faster if you're in the teacher prep path. And that is also to say that these other majors do also have, like I said, the content that you're going to be teaching in. Now, Chicana studies also has 3 different options. They have the general option, which is just the degree. You just focus on social constructs, literature, education, politics, pop culture, social media, immigration policy, public health, social policy, and social justice. And just basically the impact on Chicano or Latino communities within education. But with a general option, really, you're focusing, it's a broad spectrum of what you're of these different disciplines. If you go into the elementary subject matter options, whether it's the traditional path or the integrated path, you're going to have a focus on education. So how does the Latino or Chicano experience change within education? Now, the BA in Urban Learning, which is what we're going to be focusing on, it is also an interdisciplinary program. It is family and community centered. It emphasizes education and how education impacts urban communities. There are 4 different options for the BA in Urban Learning. There is a teacher preparation in elementary education, meaning that you're going to be focusing on multiple subjects. There is a teacher preparation option in education specialist path, and that is working in an education specialist option or classroom. And then there is a teacher preparation in the dual credential. This is the only option, Urban Learning is the only option that has the dual credential, meaning that you can get both multiple subject and an ed specialist credential at the same time. There's also a teaching and learning option, which is just the degree. Typically, this option is available. It's available to everyone, but it is usually someone that would either decides that they want to just finish their degree. They don't want to get the credential with their degree, or maybe you don't want to get a credential, but you're almost done with the major. So you likely can go into that option. Now, as far as the College of Education, I did mention we have several different programs. We have a program for those that want to become counselors or want to work in human services, and that is the Bachelor of Science in Rehabilitation Services. The BA in Urban Learning, which, like I said, is what we're focusing on today. At the credential level, we have multiple subjects, single subject, education specialist paths. And we have different certificates and authorizations as well for those that might want to enhance their credential in the future, and you want to get different authorizations to teach at different grade levels. This is that we do also have that option. Masters in Education, Masters in Special Education, Masters in Educational Technology. We do have 2 different options for that. And then if in the future you wanted to become a principal, we also have a Master of Arts in Educational Administration. So again, we do work with different populations, people that want to work in the preschool setting, elementary, middle school, high school, education specialist settings, people that want to become reading specialists, people that want to work as school counselors, rehabilitation counselors, school psychologists, administrators, leaders, researchers, and educational technology specialists. With the BA in Urban Learning, again, this is the main focus is education, teaching. That's really going to be the main focus for this major. We do have a very high demand right now for teachers. So anyone here that wants to become a teacher, you're really going to be going into a field that needs you for sure. And so with the College of Ed and the Urban Learning program focuses a lot on the community. So you would be working with the community that you came from. Basically what we want is for you to give back to the community by going back to that same community. That is a big, that's our big motto, right? We want you to give back to the community that you came from. We do work on a cohort model. Really what that is you typically will take about 2 or 3 classes with the same students every semester. As a transfer student, when you come in in the fall, if you're starting in the fall, how many of you, just a show of hands, are transferring in the spring, or you're transferring in the fall? Let's start with fall. How many of you expect to transfer in the fall?
So I see Sarah.
Awesome.
Yeah.
That's the only student. It looks like that's it. Okay. So Sarah, if you're applying for fall 2023, usually I teach one of the introductory courses for urban learning, and that is really to start preparing everybody for the credentialing process, which is not easy. There's a lot of different requirements to go into teaching. So there is a lot of support in that way. So that class really is there to serve as support for those students that are coming in as transfers and the juniors that are ready to start the credential classes. So there is a lot of support in that way. We do also have a program or a student organization called ULSA. And that again is just to help you network, help you continue to work with your classmates, and continue to give back to the community in different ways. As far as the options go, like I said, we do have 4 options. We have the option in elementary education. And this is really to work in a multiple subject setting. Working in multiple subject means that you can teach anywhere from kindergarten through 8th grade in a general education setting. We have the education specialist option, which means that you can work with as a special education teacher or an education specialist teacher. In different settings, you can work in mild, moderate, severe, or extensive support needs, visual impairments, physical and health impairments. So there are different credentials or specialties within special education. Like I said, we are the only program or the only major that has a dual credential, meaning that you can both get an elementary credential, multiple subject, and an education specialist credential. In addition, just a side note, for special ed, if you wanted to be an education specialist teacher, you can teach because you're working with a specialized population. You can work in anywhere between kindergarten and 12th grade because there is a lot of support. Your credential will allow you to teach from kindergarten through 12th grade. And again, with the teaching and learning option, this is the general degree only option. It doesn't have the credential. So usually with students that are going for the degree only option, it's either to prepare you or to, because you may not want to get your credential as an undergraduate student. So that is an option for students. For the early childhood, oh, okay. Oh, you were the one that's asking questions. Okay. Yeah, so if you guys have questions, please go ahead and ask. I'm happy to pause. I know I'm kind of going a little bit fast, so let me know if you need me to pause or if you have any questions. For special education, there are, like I said, different pathways. There's early childhood special education, which means that you would be doing early intervention for all disabilities, including autism, and you would work with children from 0 to 5 years of age. There is a mild to moderate support needs credential, which allows you to work with kids from kindergarten through 12th grade, and that is up to 22 years of age. This will range with learning disabilities, intellectual disabilities, autism, ADD, ADHD, emotional disturbances. So the support needs will be extensive, but at the mild to moderate level, typically in a mild to moderate setting, you would be working with, there's different ways that you would be working in a classroom. So some people would be in, some teachers would either go into the classroom in a general ed setting and support the students in that classroom, or you would pull the student out that needs extra support. Very few times, or there are classrooms, but they're where you have your own classroom in the mild to moderate setting. Usually for extensive support needs, you really would be in your own classroom, and the classroom sizes are a little bit smaller because they do need extra support. Then we also have the visual impairments credential, again, up to 22 years of age. And this is to work with students who are visually impaired, blind or deafblind. Now, you're all doing the first 2 years of school at PCC. So you're completing your lower division requirements. And this is a really quick little note for anyone that is like thinking about transferring, or when you're transferring, you are all doing like the lower division level. So if you were going to, let's say here at Cal State LA, the classes are numbered between 1,000 and like 6,000, depending on the level of the course. So what you're doing at PCC, you'd be doing the equivalent of like 1,000 and 2,000 level coursework with us. That's what's going to transfer in. That's the number that it'll switch to. So I think you're all taking, or you would be taking, English 1A and English 1B. So when you transfer to Cal State LA, that class would transfer as English 1010 and English 1050. So the number will switch. Then so you're doing 1,000 and 2,000 level classes at community college. When you get here, you'd be doing 3,000 and 4,000 level classes. Let's see, what would happen if you're now focusing on getting your multi-subject credential for elementary, but later on you decide to want, oh, that's a great question, Tammy. I'll get to your question in a minute. You can certainly add different authorizations. But yeah, I'll get to your question in a minute, just because it can get a little confusing. But there are, again, you don't have to stick to the grade that you are, so the short answer to your question is you don't have to stick to the grade that you earn for the credential that you earn forever. There's different ways to add authorizations. Now, again, when you transfer into Cal State LA, you'd be doing your 3, year 4, and sometimes year 5 if you're doing the credential, because you have to do student teaching. There's other requirements for teaching. So you typically take about an extra semester to an extra year to complete the credential part of the program. So again, you'd be doing 3,000 and 4,000 level coursework when you get to Cal State LA. This is a general, like a roadmap. So typically you'd be doing lower division courses. If you transfer and there is a class that wasn't met before you transferred, you would take it here. But generally students will finish within 4 to 5 years, like from the start of community college to the their senior year. Now, the general transfer requirements, typically you would need about 60 units, transferable units. You would need to finish your English composition, oral communication, critical thinking, and your quantitative reasoning courses with a C or better. Typically, you'll need a 2.0 transferable GPA, and you have to have a good academic standing at your at PCC currently. If you are transferring to urban learning, these are the courses we do. The GPA is a little bit higher, a 2.4. Really, a 2.5 would be ideal. Urban learning accepts ADT. Yes, we do accept that. Actually, we encourage it because, again, the CSET waiver courses would be very beneficial to you as a teacher. These are the courses at Cal State LA. I do have the list, and I'll be giving them to you all shortly, Emily. So you would be required to complete your English, communication, quantitative reasoning, and your biology class or your science class. It's recommended that you take history. It's recommended that you take literature, child development. I actually would say we require child development, although it's not listed as a required course. I would say consider that a required course. Now, for you all, the required courses would be English 1A, English 1B, Math 38, and Biology. We recommend at least one of these classes, which is History 2, History 7. And then additional recommended classes, English 1B, which is, I think, your literature course, Psych 21, which is your child development. Is there another child development class, Lippy?
On the ADT for elementary ed, no.
There isn't. There's no other like child growth and development class that they take that's listed as child development.
It's like 21, and I think that it also can be listed as child development. I forget the number, but it's okay. The psychology of the child.
Okay, so yeah, so I have listed Psych 21. That's the one that you would typically take. If you take it elsewhere too, like just know that the classes that you take, because I know that also sometimes happens, students are at different community colleges taking different classes, but know that they will all, like those transcripts will be merged when you transfer to Cal State LA. Well, History 7, History 1B, History 8, by the way, California History, I do encourage you all to take it if you can take it before you transfer. It isn't required, but it is highly encouraged. And then Geology 3, again, not required, but highly, highly, highly encouraged. Let's see, do urban learning majors accept ADT? I think I answered that. Yes, we do accept elementary education. Like I said, we do encourage that. Does that guarantee it? It does not guarantee that you'll finish within 2 years, because again, you have that extra semester to like between an extra semester and an extra year to do student teaching and complete the credential requirements. So you will be finishing between 2.5 to 3 years. Typically it's 2.5. Special ed majors do multiple subject or single subject. For education specialist credentials, if you're looking to become a SPED teacher, you can go with either multiple subject or single subject. We encourage multiple subject because there is, like urban learning, for instance, does have a combined program. So you can complete the education specialist credential, or the majority of it, I should say, the majority of the ed specialist credential as an undergrad, along with your degree. So we encourage urban learning. If you also are looking to do multiple subject and special ed, the dual credential is in urban learning, so we encourage that as well.
And Anna, can I just go back to the question about the transferring and it being 2 years? So one of the nice things about this, and why it does take, Emily, a little bit longer, 2.5 years potentially, is because you're not just getting your bachelor's, you're getting your teaching credential. And so if you were just getting your bachelor's in something, maybe you would be done.
It would be 2 years. Yeah. So if you're just getting your BA, it's 2 years.
Yeah. But then you'd have to like go and like apply to a credential program, and that would be like another year. So this is kind of combining them, but it's a little bit of additional time. But again, you're coming out with your teaching credential.
And tuition wise, it's always important to think about tuition. If you're doing the credential as an undergraduate student, you're paying bachelor level fees. So because you're doing your BA, the main focus is your BA. So that's how much you're going to pay. You're paying your undergraduate level fees. If you finish your degree and your credential, if you finish your degree and come back for the credential, you're going to pay a little bit more for tuition. So that's the important thing too, making sure that you can combine as much as possible to finish within 2.5 years so that you don't pay more tuition than you have to. And I think, let's see here. Oh, I'm going to go like briefly on this, touch on this. There are exam requirements for teachers. I think you all might already be aware of this. There is something called basic skills requirements, something called subject matter competency, and there are additional things that you would need to complete. But as far as the CBEST or basic skills requirement and subject matter competency, the degrees, that's why it's important to follow the degree for the credential that you want to pursue, because you can waive out of the subject matter competency, or what's typically known as the CSET. For the basic skills requirement, or the CBEST, there are courses that can meet the CBEST. So if you get a B or better in your English 1A, English 1B, and Math 38, those will waive you out of the CBEST. So you don't have to take the CBEST as long as you get a B or better in those classes. Now, there are times where you can complete other courses as a post-baccalaureate. Oh, sorry, not as a post-baccalaureate, but as an undergraduate at Cal State LA. There are other classes that can meet these requirements as well. So if you get a C, for instance, in your writing class in English 1A, if you get a C in that class, there are other classes that you can take at community college, at Cal State LA to meet that writing requirement. The same thing with reading. It's a little bit harder to get a math class at the graduate level or at the undergraduate level when you transfer, but there are also options there too. So there are those, so just be mindful of these classes if you're taking them. Aim for a B or higher so that you can waive out of the CBEST. As far as the CSET or the subject matter, the CSET is the subject that you're going to teach or the content that you're going to teach. If you're going to go with multiple subject, urban learning is a great option because it does waive you out of the CSET. The other nice thing about urban learning is that you are already in the College of Education, so anything really you'll be getting firsthand. If you go with any of our other majors, you'll be working with us a little bit closely, but not immediately, so that you'll probably come to us maybe 2 semesters into your program, not immediately. Liberal Studies is another program that does have the subject matter in any option, so you can go with general, option 1, option 2, you can get any option waive out of the CSET. With child development, option 2 would waive you out of the CSET. Again, with that one, it's a little bit tricky because typically transfer students already have a lot of units and it's really hard to complete that. Yes, statistics waives you out of the CSET, the CBEST math, as long as you get a B or better. That's a good question. And then Chicano Studies, we do have, again, the 2 teacher preparation options that can waive you out of the CSET for multiple subjects. For single subject, there are a lot of different options. If you're going to be a high school teacher, if you want to be a high school teacher, you want to teach at the a single subject, we have these different options, different degree options that can waive you out of the CSET for that specific option. So if you want to be an English teacher, and Letty, I think you can speak to this because I think that's where you were before, right? You got your degree in English. So if you have an English degree, actually, Letty, maybe you can share, because I know that I remember you saying that you had your English degree and then you still had to take the CSET, correct?
I did, but that was before the changes. So now, I was an English teacher for 10 years. And before, even if you majored in English or whatever subject you wanted to teach, you still had to take the CSET. So it was about 4 subtests that I had to take. And one of them I had to retake because I had never taken linguistics. Now with the new changes, the changes are there to help you so that you can remove barriers, right? So you don't have to take the CBEST, like Anna said. If you get a B or higher in Math 38 in your reading and writing class. If for those of you that want to teach at the single subject level, if you get a bachelor's in whatever subject you want to teach, you no longer have to take the CSET. So if I want to be a math teacher and teach math in high school, if I major in math, I don't have to take the CSET anymore, because just by getting a bachelor's in whatever it is I want to teach, that shows that I know single like subject matter competency. The CSET is still there though, because maybe some of you, I think the question was, what if I want to become, what if I'm an elementary teacher and then later on I want to teach middle school or high school? The CSET's still going to be there so that you can take that. Or what if you're an English major, but you decide you want to teach history or social studies? So you could still take the CSET in social studies later down the road to become a social studies teacher. But many of you, especially if you're considering middle school and high school, my suggestion is always going to be major in whatever it is you want to teach to get rid of that CSET requirement.
Yeah, so these new like regulations for the exam, the CSET that we're talking about, were just implemented about a year and a half ago. So it's relatively new. And we do encourage you to follow the degree that you are looking to teach in. So again, for CSET, and if you're looking to become an English teacher, go with English, because you're going to get the content. You're going to be competent in that subject, or you show competency in that subject. Let me see, there was a person that asked about that, and I was going to, Tammy, you were asking if you wanted to be a single subject teacher in the future. Let's say you want to start with elementary, okay? So let's say you go to urban learning right now because you want to be a multiple subject teacher. You're going to finish the multiple subject requirements. You're going to get your degree. You're going to get your credential for elementary for multiple subjects. But now you want to teach, let's say you want to teach math, okay? So you have your multiple subject credential and you want to add math. This is what's called an added authorization. You're going to take the CSET in math because you don't have all of the content in urban learning. You just have very basic concepts about it. So you have to take the CSET for math. And something called a methods course, a methodology course for teaching that subject, for teaching math. So you take that methods course and you take that CSET for math, and then you can add that authorization to your multiple subject credential. Actually, I'm going to touch on one more authorization, which I didn't speak about. Do we have any bilingual students here? Show of hands if you're bilingual in Spanish.
Yes, I am bilingual in English and Vietnamese.
Awesome. Okay, so there is something called a bilingual added authorization. Okay, if you wanted to teach, you said Vietnamese. So if you wanted to get a multiple subject credential and you want to focus on in a bilingual or a dual immersion setting for Vietnamese, then you would get what's called an added bilingual authorization, or a bilingual added authorization in Vietnamese. So you would take, depending on where you go, I believe it's only 2 classes and then 1 subtest of the CSET in world languages. So you can add that authorization. And then you can teach what's called in a setting called bilingual authorization, or dual immersion, meaning that you focus primarily on that target language, and then you incorporate English at a later time. So if anybody here is bilingual, I do encourage you to look into those options. There are a lot of dual immersion settings opening up, positions opening up throughout California. So I do encourage you all to look into that in the near future. You'll have plenty of time to explore those options, but definitely think about it. If you are bilingual in Spanish and you pursue your credential or your degree in urban learning with us, we are working on a pathway for bilingual educators in that multiple subject setting. So what you would essentially end up with is your bachelor's degree, which is the first thing that you will want to focus on, your credential for multiple subject, and your added authorization for bilingual education. So you would end up with technically 4 things, because you're also getting the CSET waiver with your degree. So it's actually more like 4 things that you would be completing at the same time. That's the same thing with with urban learning with the dual credential option. you would be completing your degree, the CSET for multiple subject, the multiple subject credential, and the education specialist credential. So you would be finishing with 4 things at once. And the best thing to do is really just package as much as you can as an undergrad. For financial aid reasons, really just want to focus on getting as much as you can before you graduate. The last thing that I'm going to add, oh, and by the way, for special ed, I think you asked it and I answered it, but I want to touch on it again. If you want to be an ed specialist teacher, any of the core subjects listed in this in this list of CSETs or CSET waiver degrees can count for special education. You don't have to focus on multiple subjects. You don't have to focus on a single subject specifically for an education specialist credential. But you also want to be mindful of the setting where you'll be working. So maybe the school that you work for or the district that you will work for will ask for the CSET and single subject. It's rare that they do that because your credential does authorize you to work in any setting with special ed, but there are some sites that will ask for certain requirements. And the last thing is it's never, never, never too late. And I always like to highlight this to learn about different authorizations or different, like thinking beyond your bachelor's degree. If you're planning on going to to teach at the master's level or doing something else, let's see about the pros and cons of doing the combined program. Oh, that's a great question. Yeah, so Emily, so a few things to keep in mind if you are going to the best thing to do, like again, like doing a combined program is you are saving money. You also just have to be mindful of some of the places that you apply to for work. Some districts do not count your credential classes as an undergrad for your salary points. There's very few, there's several places that will. I know for a fact LA Unified does allow your credential units to count for salary points. So they request a letter, and so you can use your undergraduate credential courses for salary points because the credential classes essentially are post-baccalaureate courses. They're just you're just combining everything. So you're completing everything as an undergraduate student. So that is one of the cons, I would say, for doing the credential as an undergrad. That's Orange County might be one of them that you want to talk to. And this is really important to talk to the district for which you're looking to apply because they may have specific requirements in terms of units. A lot of places will be looking at master's level courses to count for your salary points. So Orange County might be one of them, but you want to talk to them and see what they say. The other thing to keep in mind is there are other requirements that you'll have to complete. We're just talking about the preliminary credential, which and you'll touch on this later on. Of course, there's additional requirements to the license, to the teaching license. I've been comparing the teaching credential to a driver's license. So the teaching credential program, for instance, is like going into like driver's ed, where you're learning the methods, the strategies, theories about teaching. And then you have your preliminary credential, which is like your driver's license, essentially your conditional license. You go into the classroom, you're teaching, you're getting hands-on, and you're already done with all of your preparation. But you have to do an extra step, which usually is done, can be done with a master's degree or can be done with the district that you're working for, called an induction program. And that's essentially like your hands-on driving test, so that you can get your full license. So once you have your full license, they can't take it away unless you do something major. And you'll just have to pay like a renewal fee every few years. And again, this is just kind of a side note. But yeah, so the preliminary credential, I would say if you can get the preliminary credential out of the way as an undergrad, that would be ideal.
Yeah, if I can add to that, because I get that question a lot, and you know, I advise students, again, to reach out to the district, like you just said, because as a teacher, you want to be able to make as much as you can your first couple of years. Always, but especially like as much as you can, you want to get yourself up to the maximum of the salary scale for a first year teacher. But another pro of doing it all at once is that you know you're on the right track to get your credential, as opposed to I'm going to work on my bachelor's first and then I'm going to have to apply to a program and do my research again. I know that for some students, they want to try to have it as coordinated as possible. So it's going to be just based off of, I think I always tell students, like, do your research, but also know yourself a little bit. Like, do you want to kind of have it all in one package for yourself so that you can know that you're kind of heading in that direction? If that's the case and you feel like you need that, then integrated goes a long way for you.
Thank you, Letty. So one question that came up right now, if we complete our teaching credentials, what degrees can we take for our master's? Honestly, a master's degree, you can go with any, like, there's no specific degree that will, or there's a specific master's really that will hinder you from applying to, because you have a bachelor's degree or a credential or anything like that. You can honestly apply, you can finish a degree in weaving, let's say a bachelor's degree in weaving, but you can go into a master's in education or a master's in social work. As long as you have certain requirements or you can meet the prerequisites for that master's program, you can apply to it. The nice thing about master's in education is that it is very malleable, so you can apply basically any of your knowledge into a master's in education. But if you wanted to get a, oh, sorry, Letty, go ahead.
No, I was going to say too, for those of you that are considering teaching at community college level later on, like, so I taught high school and then now I'm at community college, I can teach education courses because I have a master's in education. But another area that I'd like to teach is English, because I taught English at the high school level. Technically, I have to have a master's in English to teach. So at the community college level. So that could be also an option for folks later down the road. Let's say you have your bachelor's and your credential, maybe down the road you want to get your master's in like a subject area so that you could teach it at the community college level as well. Like, that's something to think about as well.
Yeah, so definitely look into, like, consider what you're planning on doing. So this is actually the main thing here is you want to think about your career goals. When you're thinking about graduate school, think about your career goals. Are you thinking about staying in education? Are you thinking about expanding your options for education or other disciplines? If that is the case, then definitely start looking into that specific discipline for a master's program. You also want to think about what you want to be an expert in. Some people want to be an expert in communication, so look at the master's in communication. If you want to be an expert in curriculum design, master's in education would be option in curriculum design, or master's in curriculum design would be a really good option. If you want to stick to education and you want to learn about ESL or you want to learn about educational technology, there's all those different options that you can go into. And then the population you want to work with. Somebody mentioned that they wanted to consider working at a high school level in the future. There are options and there's ways to do that by adding these different authorizations. And then if you want to work in higher ed, like you just mentioned, you wanted to work in higher ed, focus on the discipline that you're looking to teach in. And I think that is it. And those are the main questions that you want to focus on when you're thinking about graduate school. You're all about 3, maybe 4 years away from this, so this is not something you need to dwell on, but it's something to consider early on because time flies by. And so when you finish your undergraduate degree, you don't want to feel like, what do I do now?
Yeah, and I think, and I'm not sure if you are, but I know I'm first generation college student in my family. And I think when I was going to college, all I was thinking about was getting my bachelor's degree. I didn't actually know that you had to, or that grad school existed. I think now there's more information, but it wasn't until I was already about to get my bachelor's that folks started to ask me like, oh, are you going to go to graduate school? And I had to figure out, oh yeah, that you can get your master's after, and then even possibly your doctorate. So it might sound like a long ways off, but thinking about thinking about like once you start to get to, your first degree, that you know you can continue and that there's opportunities, and often you know look for funding, especially as a teacher. There's a lot of grants, or there's beginning to be a lot of grants that are starting to pay teachers for student teaching, or paying teachers for some of that education, because there is that kind of quote unquote shortage, that they're starting to kind of really think about ways to support you all financially as well. And I think taking advantage of that is really important.
Yeah, I mean, I'm on the same boat with you. I am first gen, and I'm actually the only one, I think, with a master's degree in my family. The only one that's even considering like continuing school even after that. So that is, it can take a long time to even just think about that, and it can be very overwhelming. So having these kinds of conversations early on, whether it is just with your peers, with your advisors, start having those conversations early on so that it's not so daunting when you get to finish your bachelor's degree, or even when you're teaching, because that also can be, I can tell you, like based on some experiences from students that I work with, even the teachers that they work with don't know all of the different options that they have. So it's good to kind of start exploring those different paths. Can you explain about finances going to BA to teaching credential? Okay, so at Cal State LA, and I don't remember the exact amount of tuition. I think it's about $3,200 to $3,500 per semester, if I'm not mistaken, for full time. If you're going for the credential by itself, after you finished your bachelor's degree, it's going to be about $3,800 per semester. For master's degrees by themselves, it's about $4,200 per semester, but it's going to increase depending on the degree that you're looking to pursue. Now, if you're doing the bachelor's and the credential at the same time, you're only going to pay your bachelor's level fees. So you're not going to pay any more than that. So it usually increases, I think, by like $500. By the way, this is just at Cal State LA. It depends on the school that you go to. I think it increases by about $500 at like each level. Lauren, you have very good questions.
I can't see Lauren's questions. I think she's just
She's sending them privately. Yeah.
I was like, so many good questions.
Sorry, Lauren, I'm calling you out.
No, this is good.
You all are welcome to unmute and ask your questions out loud. It's sometimes faster and easier to have a dialogue. And I think, well, that's actually all I have for today. You all have my contact information here. I'll share the PowerPoint so students can have access to it. Feel free to contact me. I'm available. I'm actually booked right now for the next month, but I'm available as best I can. Send me a text, call me if you need, like if you're looking to apply for fall 2023, which I think the application is opening up in the next few weeks. So the deadline, if I'm not mistaken, is November. It'll be the same for all CSUs. So we're happy to assist in any way we can. If you have questions about the application process, I will do my best to answer them. And yeah, and I do have drop-in hours, so I can share that with you all as you know, when you reach out to me.
Thank you. I know that last year you were able to do an application workshop. I know it was during COVID, so we didn't have a whole lot of folks, but if folks have questions, as you know, it sounds like Sarah, you're probably going to be filling that out soon. I don't know if someone else is transferring as well, but you can reach out to Anna or even to myself. I'm not an expert on the Cal State LA application, but I can at least be another pair of eyes for that. Because sometimes I think, especially I've had students who just get really nervous to fill out the application. It's a big thing, right? Like where you're going to transfer to, and you want to just make sure that you're doing it correctly. And I also want to plug the transfer center here on campus, because they're a huge help. I know that they actually have drop-in hours, which is really nice. So before you go, just share a couple things, and then of course we'll give our final thank you and goodbye to Anna for her time. But It is transfer season, so of course we love Cal State LA. They're awesome. They're one of our main partners and always eager to work with us. But I also have another Cal State coming to do a presentation. So we have Cal State Northridge doing an info session on Friday, October 21st at 2:30 p.m. They're going to be talking about their liberal studies elementary teaching credential pathway. So if you're interested in that, make sure that you RSVP to Hixon Teacher Prep at pasadena.edu. So that'll be virtual as well. We do have an in-person workshop coming on October 18th with our counselor, Yvette Rosas, who is a former elementary teacher and is now a general counselor at PCC. She's going to be doing a general workshop for associate's degree, how to transfer specifically to teacher ed programs, what to watch out for. This is great for maybe the first years in this space who feel like they need a little bit more of that guidance as opposed to maybe someone who's right about to transfer. And this is kind of more tailored for beginning year students. But if you're interested, it's in the Hixon Resource Center about a block away from the main campus on the second floor. So take a screenshot of all this. And then if you're on our listserv, we're sending this all the time. We are still looking for 2 interns. So we work with LACPA, Los Angeles College Preparatory Academy. They have a very explicit social justice equity focus. It almost looks like the Cal State LA colors there too. But we found an ethnic studies specialist intern. And we're still looking for a math specialist and a wellness intern. If you are interested, you would be working with teachers and admin from that high school. You would be doing a total of 70 hours of internship support. And then we would be able to provide you with $1,000 scholarship at the end of that. So you're getting both experience, but we're hoping to kind of help you out a little bit with some financial support there as well. The wellness intern would be focused on eco-psychology, talk therapy, indigenous practices. The director really made it clear that she wants to co-create that role. So they're not going to give you a job description just yet. I know sometimes you want to know exactly what you're doing. She will meet with you and together you're going to co-create something so that it fits your schedule and it fits your interest. So that's what she did with the ethnic studies intern. Asked her what her passions were, and now she's working on a project that's specific to her passion within ethnic studies. So I want to kind of plug that because we're really trying to build this partnership. We need a math specialist and a wellness intern. So if you're interested, let me know. And if you can, I'm going to drop this link. It's a short survey just about some of these workshops that we're giving. I'm going to drop it into the link. It should take you like 2 or 3 minutes to complete. So if you can, before we log off here, if you can fill that out for us,